appears the Steam Controller 2. The RTX 5090 is even more expensive than you thought, and Intel's Battlemage is way worse in these leaks than I want it to be. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Thursday, November 28th, 2024. But before we jump into the Steam Controller 2 news, I wanna remind you that we do have this PC giveaway going on over on Twitch. It's our monthly giveaway. It's got a 9950X, 4080 Super, and the Thermaltake Tower 600. We'd love to have you over there. Come join us, twitch.tv/UFD Tech. Love to see you there. I'm gonna start off with the major leak that came out from Valve accidentally leaking the Blender files for their upcoming Steam Controller 2, as well as the handheld controllers that are going to be part of their standalone VR headset, which is known as Project Deckard. So we have Ibex and Roy, which are the code names for the Steam Controller 2 and the VR controller, respectively. This is coming courtesy of Brad Lynch over on Twitter, who is a data miner for VR stuff. If you want to know basically anything that's going on in the latest and greatest of VR, following this account is highly recommended for that. But you can see here, this is what Valve has the Blender file as for the Steam Controller 2. It has the touchpads that are part of the Steam Deck, has two joysticks as opposed to the one from the regular Steam controller, and looks very similar to a regular Steam Deck controller, and it also looks like a little fat ugly creature according to this tweet, which is my favorite joke that I've seen on this so far. But additionally, we have seen the VR controllers, which look very similar to something from the Valve controllers. We have different angles for them as well, and you could actually even see the progression of these Roy controllers, where it had the little halo around it, with it being compared to the Valve Index controller on the left and the Quest 3 controller on the right. And while all of this is wild, it's incredible to see this happening. I'm actually a big fan of the Steam Controller 2 design. The biggest thing here is that somebody actually already made basically this exact same design. Camp Creates over on Twitter showing off their 3D printed Steam Controller 2, as you can see here. And the neatest thing about it is that they designed this in October, months before we saw anything come out from Valve about this. So they already have a working prototype of what we're expecting. They tore apart a Steam Deck and put it in this 3D printed shell, and it's essentially what Valve is going to be making, just not as robust and rounded shape. So it looks like they're taking a lot of the lessons that they learned with the Steam Deck and implementing them into the controller, so much so that somebody used VR to show what these VR controllers would look like next to the Steam Deck itself, and it looks like the button placement and everything is very similar to what the Steam Deck controller actually has. But it appears just as soon as this leak happened, Valve plugged it, Brad indicating that Valve is aware of this and they've definitely plugged this leak. So this is quite intriguing. I like the look of it. Obviously not sure how it feels in the hand, but it does appear like they're learning their lesson from the original Steam controller, which had the touchpads replacing the joysticks. It only had one joystick, very similar to a weird like N64 controller, but now you get the regular joysticks as well as the touchpads, kind of combining the best of both worlds. I want to see how this performs. I'm curious what the price is going to be, as well as the release date. We don't have any of that, but this looks like Valve is learning their hardware lessons. Maybe this launches with Half-Life 3. Who knows? But while people use VR gaming like what you would use Project Deckard for to stay physically fit and active, you could also use today's video sponsor for that, especially with the Steam Deck. It's easy to forget about moving around when you spend all day typing away at your desk. Quite frankly, that's something everyone here at the UFD office is guilty of. Lucky for us, FlexiSpot sent over their 2-in-1 walking treadmill to keep us moving while they continue to sponsor this video. FlexiSpot's 2-in-1 walking treadmill is great for storing under your desk or even your couch. It's lightweight and easy to store. The inclusion of built-in wheels really helps to make this slide out when you want it and then slide right away when you're done. For being so light, this treadmill boasts a 264-pound capacity and a hefty 2-year warranty. FlexiSpot has also made this treadmill super easy to use in multiple ways. With the included wireless remote and magnetic storage slot, it's a breeze to swap between a gentle walk while you work at your standing desk to a full running workout after you close your laptop for the evening. And don't worry, you can make your workout workout feel like no time at all by catching up on your Netflix shows with the included iPad holder. Pairing the 2-in-1 walking treadmill with a FlexiSpot standing desk unlocks a whole different approach to staying healthy throughout your workday. Taking standing breaks throughout the day is a great way to relieve stress on your body, so being able to walk while you work is an even better option for maintaining your health while remaining productive. FlexiSpot's treadmill even features a shock-absorbing belt so your joints don't feel the stress of your workout. FlexiSpot provides all kinds of standing desks, treadmills, and other ergonomic furniture solutions. If you're looking for an easy way to stay active while you work from home, or even in a non-traditional office like ours, I highly recommend picking up the 2-in-1 walking treadmill. You won't regret adding some movement to your day without even leaving your house. You can check one out for yourself via the link in the description below and use my code WP20OFF at checkout to enjoy $20 off your purchase. Huge thanks to FlexiSpot for sponsoring. Well, I hope you caught your breath from walking on that FlexiSpot treadmill because you're gonna need it in order to hear the price of the RTX 5090. According to the company that is selling servers full of them, it is way more than you expected. So we already talked about Camino, who is selling servers in Europe for multiple RTX 5090s. But it turns out that a company reached out to Camino to ask them, hey, how much are you charging for these things? And the total cost for them is 50,000 euro for an 8 GPU server and 40,000 euro for a 6 GPU server. And if you want any of this, it's a 10,000 euro deposit due to the high interest in these systems. So if you subtract the difference between the 8 and the 6 GPU server version, that's 10,000 euro between them, which means that each GPU is going for roughly 5,000 euro, which is multiples of what we would expect the RTX 5090 to actually cost. You do have to consider that these are servers. It does come with a 32 core EPYC CPU, 256 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabyte of storage. So there are sunk costs in there. And additionally, it's weird because this is not an NVIDIA sanctioned thing. How are they taking pre-orders and deposits for something that NVIDIA hasn't even announced? They do say that they're partnered with NVIDIA, but there's no way that this is actually legitimate and real because NVIDIA would not allow a broken embargo like this to happen. So take this with a massive grain of salt. I highly doubt that the 5090 is going to be going for 5,000 euro, or I think that's like $5,200. I think it's going to be closer to under $2,000, but obviously I can eat my words when that happens. But just like I'm highly doubtful of the price of the 5090 here, I was also highly doubtful of the rumors that Qualcomm was looking to buy Intel, simply because NVIDIA couldn't buy ARM. Regulatory-wise, it wouldn't make sense. Qualcomm actually isn't that much bigger of a company than Intel. They didn't have the financing for it in everything that I understand acquisitions to look like. And so I was skeptical when that announcement first came out. And then there was a subsequent announcement that came out that Qualcomm was waiting until after the US elections because it was just too tumultuous for them to make a decision. And now it's being reported by Bloomberg that Qualcomm is not going to be even interested in taking over Intel for the very reasons why it wasn't sensible in the first place: financial and regulatory issues. That is the specific reason that's being quoted for why Qualcomm is abandoning the Intel takeover. And so we're exactly where we were when this story came out. It didn't make sense then, it doesn't make sense now. I never saw this happening. There we go. But I did see deals happening. Let's see what Reece got for you right before Black Friday.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. Black Friday is almost upon us and the deals are ramping up. So let's just jump straight into them today. Starting off with my favorite controller, the Sony DualSense Edge, which you can pick up in a variety of colors for only $54.99, making it $20 off. But then next up, we have the ever popular Samsung 990 EVO M.2 NVMe SSD, specifically the 1 terabyte version, which is going for $59.99, making it $60 off. And then last, we have a very Star Wars looking Thermaltake AHT200. This open frame M-ATX case is available in white for only $79.99, making it $90 off. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thanks, Reece. Well, just to announce it to you guys, even we might not have an episode of Hot News tomorrow, but Reece will be doing a special Black Friday live stream for you to get all of the best tech deals. We'll have his classic certified bangers document so that you can be assured that you are getting a great deal on Black Friday for the tech items that you're looking to pick up. So if you want to come tune in tomorrow for that, we'd love to have you there. But let's talk about what is looking like a bad deal, and that is Intel's Battlemage B580. We got a couple leaks here, and I just want to say up front, I really hope that none of these are true. I really, really hope that the benchmark scores we're seeing and the pricing that we're seeing for this are wrong. That's what I'm gonna say up front because it's bad. It's really bad. So we have a Geekbench score in OpenCL for the Intel Arc B580, which confirms a couple details about the GPU. 20 Xe2 cores, 12 gigs of VRAM, 2.85 gigahertz clock speed, and a Geekbench score of 78,743, which obviously doesn't mean much in and of itself. You have to put it in context of other devices. But just to give you a context of the B580 versus the A580, the current card that it's going to be replacing, it does have 4 fewer cores, but they are at 1.1 gigahertz higher clock speed, and it comes with 4 gigabytes more of RAM, but the memory bus is more limited, the memory speed is higher, but the effective memory bandwidth is lower, and it's on PCI Express 5.0, but on fewer PCI Express lanes. All of that being amalgamated to say that 78,000 OpenCL score on Geekbench is 11% lower than the A580. The A580 got 88,000, the B580 is getting 78,000. So this is worse. This is a worse graphics card according to this benchmark. You just kind of hope this is an engineering sample and it's not necessarily resulting in the final product. Hopefully B580 is better. That's what we would want to see. We would want to see a better graphics card. But even if they release a worse graphics card, which can happen, you would hope that the price makes more sense. Well, we've got bad news about that as well because it's now been listed at a retailer. The limited edition version of the Battlemage B580 was listed at a retailer for roughly $250. It's kind of fluctuating between like $246 and $254, which you've got some outlets like Tech Power Up saying that it's competitive pricing. $250 graphics card, that doesn't sound that bad until you remember that the graphics card it's replacing, the A580, actually launched at $180. So the B580 is looking to be about 30% more expensive for 10% worse performance. Obviously, this is a bad situation overall. This is not where you want a second generation graphics card to come in at, where it's a higher price and worse performance. So obviously the benchmark is the first thing that you can kind of be skeptical of because we don't know what generation and driver software, all of that kind of stuff that these cards are at. It could potentially be way better than that at launch. The GPU pricing thing we can also be skeptical of because a lot of times these retailers, when they list these pre-release GPUs, they're just way off when it comes to graphics card pricing. See the earlier story about the RTX 5090? That's likely not to be the price. They're just listing it because they want to get some attention for it or they accidentally put it up. That is possibly what's happening here with the B580. But I need you to just remember this as we move forward. Anybody who tells you that $250 for the 580 is competitive is just wrong because the A580 was $180 at launch. It's currently about $160 on the market right now. So the B580 coming in at $250 is a massive price hike. And unless the performance jump is also massive, I would want to see 50 to 60% better performance to justify that 30% higher price tag. This is not a good situation that we appear to be in with these cards, with the preliminary data that we have. We're obviously expecting Intel to launch these cards sometime in December. I really hope that all of this information is way different when it finally comes out of Intel's mouths. And what came out of your fingers were comments on yesterday's episode of Hot News, so let's go check those out. We got Anxifty saying, that will probably cost 3 kidneys, 1 monkey brain, all your limbs, and your first and second born kids. This is in regards to the 4090 Ti that was found in the trash. Yeah, it was probably going to be very expensive. But then Chortle talking about the Arc Alchemist card saying, that's exactly what I did. Got an A310 Eco for AV1 encoding while the 1080 Ti does all the heavy lifting. The dynamic duo, nobody saw coming. I've heard of a lot of people getting the AV1 encoders on Intel and then just keeping their regular old graphics card for everything else that they're doing. It does seem to be a good combo. We'll see if Battlemage can do something similar. And Steelers fan 49-2 saying, sees 4090 Ti. Me, where can I sell 7 kidneys on a child? FBI agent. What the? Don't Google that. Don't Google that. And then we got Goner Me Leggies responding to my disagreement with them on the previous episode of Hot News. Their comment that the Alchemist press tour was bad. I said, nuh-uh, it was great. Goner B. Leggies responded, okay, I'll eat my words. I rechecked what Tap said at some of the Alchemist press events, and yep, I was definitely wrong. Guess it was really just the driver situation that kneecapped first-gen Arc, that and the China only release of the low end at first. Fingers crossed that Battlemage comes out swinging. I'm glad that we can settle on this. Intel did a ton right when it came to the Alchemist launch. I just want to continue to give credit where credit is due on that. Tom Peterson, Tap, and Ryan Shrout went on a press tour to tell everybody its flaws, but also what it was good at, and that, in my personal opinion, made me trust them more. Excited to see it with Battlemage. Goner B. Leggies, thanks for handling that so well. Love it. I hope to do the same when I'm wrong. And then Raw Music Group talking about the PC giveaway that we got going on. This Thermaltake Tower 600's got a 9950X and a 4080 Super, saying, I'd like to enter, but I'm in South Africa. We do have a way for international winners. It involves you having to get it forwarded from courier service in case you want to take care of that. Just come over to the Twitch stream, ask about it. We'll tell you how it works. It's not impossible for South Africans to win. In fact, during the charity stream, there was a South African who won one of the PCs. So we do happen to have international winners. It's not just for US people. And then we got GT Does It saying, the question is, who beats the 7900 XTX in 2025 and what's the price to performance? I feel it's the only future-proof card right now versus the 4080 Super. I mean, based on all of the indication that we have, Intel likely won't beat the 7900 XTX. NVIDIA will definitely beat the 7900 XTX, but reports are that AMD is not going to beat the 7900 XTX with their highest RX 8000 series GPUs. It's supposed to be just under that at 7900 XT level performance. So I would agree with you. The 7900 XTX, especially when you can get it for that like $700 to $800 price point when they're on sale, hopefully there's a lot of that this Black Friday, is a fantastic price to performance in the environment that we're currently at, in case you want a very fast GPU for as little money as possible. But it doesn't look like we're gonna have much that exceeds that card, unfortunately. Maybe there's better price to performance with like the 8700 XT. Maybe it delivers 7900 XT level performance at 450 bucks. I wouldn't hold my breath, but maybe we could be in for a surprise like that. And I'm not gonna surprise you guys with hot news any longer, because I'm done. I don't know if there will be an episode tomorrow. Again, baby and US holiday and all of that, so we'll see how it goes.